Got it. All right, well, hello and welcome again to another episode of Mike Takes the Mic, where I, Mike, ask Headmaster Christopher Dyer here questions regarding martial arts, general martial arts topics, and hopefully we provide you some entertainment and information. And here we are at world headquarters of Reborn Martial Arts here in Springfield, Virginia. If you're in the area, come on down, check us out, even try a free lesson. And so today's question is really kind of a self-critique of what I've seen on our videos. So, and it kind of leans into, gets into another question. But on video, we can look a little clunky in terms of demonstrations and maybe a little stiff. And we don't necessarily look as fluid or fantastical as what you might see on the silver screen or the small screen when it comes to martial arts expositions or demonstrations. So what's the difference? What are we doing differently than what's going on screen, and how could on-screen depictions kind of, change people's feelings?
Fun. All right, so for the folks out there on the internet watching this on YouTube, we don't practice our stuff now. We don't practice our movements before we do the videos for you guys. So when you're watching them, we talked about this way long ago when we started doing these videos. Is I just told Mike, just throw punches, punch to my face. So we don't practice. We don't practice them. He throws real punches towards my face, and we do the techniques as is.
That's to say, we're not choreographed.
Yeah, so we don't choreograph the movements, and we just kind of, what you see is kind of what comes out. But it is what comes out while I'm trying to give explanations and make it visible to a camera at a certain angle, giving confined spaces and things like that. So it's kind of like the worst of both worlds. We're not choreographed, and we're still trying to fit into the constraints of a field of vision that it works for an audience that isn't here live to see what we're doing. So it's the worst of both worlds. But I think, and as our numbers keep growing up on YouTube, people are getting something out of it. So if you are, please comment below and like and subscribe and share as we're kind of moving through. We're working on, obviously growing our studio, so we have tons of information to give to people, and I think that these types of things help, and clearly as people are watching them, it's helping someone. So I think it's useful to do that, to talk through it, but I also, it is clunky. Like I have on some, I think of Facebook and Instagram and all these other things, posted like some of our sparring things where it looks way more fluid, and that's kind of what the goal is when you're doing martial arts. Everything should be fluid. It shouldn't be clunky. It shouldn't be stiff. But again, when we're trying to shoot something so that you can see it from a specific angle, do it as a teaching tool, it's going to end up being clunky and whatnot.
I would add that also we're showing the practical demonstrations, and that is to say, a lot of times that involves closing off lines, closing distance, and from the demonstratee perspective, I wind up getting very much kind of jammed up a lot in my arms, and you're always trying to take away space and eliminate my ability to move, where in the movies, a choreographed scene, they want big movements, they want big flashy movements for the camera that are, can be seen on various sizes of screens.
Yeah, and so that's kind of the difference, and I've run into this with people of actually trying to train that out of people. It's like, I'm a big Superman fan, love my Superman, and it was one of the interviews of Henry Cavill, and I think it was the first Superman movie that he did. They were talking about how he had trained so much like physical things like boxing or whatnot that he was so tight, and they're like, we can't have Superman fight like this. We got to open him up, make his movements look big and powerful, and so that's what you're going to end up seeing if you're watching a movie. I mean, we've talked about this a million times, like the different fighting styles of Batman, different people that have trained, closing these lines up, things like that we do that don't necessarily show up well on camera unless you know what you're looking for. Like when you see that type of thing, like, oh yeah, that's good. So movies have skewed people's views of what things are. taught HEMA for a number of years. Think about sword fighting in movies, right? You see these unrealistic, big wind-up swing type things that you would never really do in an actual sword fight. But again, if an audience needs to see action, you're not going to have two people on screen. Close this line off. No, move, close this line off. Like, it's tiny movements.
It's a little subtle. And
it's very subtle. Yeah.
Sometimes the swords themselves are unrealistic. You have people swinging things that really are not, would be a good idea in real life.
Yeah, so I actually see that, when I have people come through the door or whatever, and they're want to try a lesson and they have no martial arts experience. You'll see this with people that have never trained before. Kids do this all the time, is they think movements need to be this big thing because, brain-body connection, our brain is thinking, I need to block this thing off, so I need to throw my arm out here, when we know, like, that is a huge waste of movement. So, I was just working on this just yesterday of teaching people, like, a block isn't out here. A block is as soon as I've closed off my center line and get the attack just barely past me, that's it. Like, the block is that. It's so subtle that if you're not, geared towards visualizing, okay, I close that line off, I'm good, you're going to end up doing this wide movement. And so you have to train people's bodies to not do that. So, yeah, movies kind of skew that really, really badly.
Agreed. So, yeah, typically in real life, your movements are going to be tighter. It's clearly less photogenic. Otherwise, they wouldn't have kind of movie choreography.
We should do that. How would I choreograph a thing?
We could.
We could do it choreographed. Maybe stay tuned for that one.
Any closing thoughts?
No, I think that, like I said, we're trying to do something entirely different. That we're trying to give some philosophy, some of my thinking on the martial arts over many, many years of thinking about this on a daily basis. I have lots of thoughts on martial arts. And also I know that this is a teaching tool for a lot of people. A lot of the videos are useful for our students and people out there in the internet that might want to look at their martial arts in a different way. And so I'm glad to make teaching tools that are good for people. They might not be, movie quality, but I think it's pretty good so far. Let us know what you think.
As always, thanks for watching. Feel free to like, subscribe, leave questions, comments, anything you got down in the comment section where we always lurk. And as always, if you're here in the area, Northern Virginia, Springfield, Virginia, come by, check us out at Reborn Martial Arts. Have a good one.